3237 really is the flagship of Lachlan Valley Railway and our train operations. It's currently the oldest operating mainline steam locomotive in Australia, and it creates a lot of excitement around LVR operations and attracts a lot of attention to the society and what we do. The scope of works for this particular overhaul is quite significant. It's about $120,000 worth of work, and the Lachlan Valley Railway was just not in a position to fund all of that work, so we applied for grant funding to keep the project on track and get a major part of the works done to get the thing back into traffic. A large part of the work was pulling the wheel set and the front pony trucks out, overhauling components, machining, getting everything back to square and trim, and the cylinders and pistons. There's a lot of other important components to this project to keep the thing in reliable service. The grant contribution means that the work is able to continue and not have to do this kind of major work again, hopefully for 10 or 15 years. The MFS cars started life as an FS car, which was a corridor compartment car, a sitting car in the 1930s or thereabouts. Later in their histories, around about the 70s, they would have been used on commuter runs between Sydney and Newcastle, and they stayed in that configuration until the late 80s, early 90s, before they were pulled out of traffic and came into Heritage. They've been extremely valuable to the LVR running fleet. So each carriage seats 64 people. If we're running steam shuttles, that could be 4 or 5 trips a day. So, you know, we may see several hundred people through these carriages on a running weekend. I think they're a great car. They've been a terrific asset. They are our party car, and so people who come out on our trips and ride in these cars are always in for a good time. They've been from one end of the state to the other with us. In the halcyon days of rail travel in New South Wales, the dining cars were a fairly important component of the cross-country trips. They're a throwback from a glorious era of railway service in New South Wales. This carriage has been in preservation for a long time, and Lachlan Valley Railway has a long association with AB 91. It had previously been in our custody in the 80s and 90s, and so we really want to bring a return to those glory days of rail travel, where you can have almost a fine dining experience while you're on the move. The first phase of the Stream 2 funding for the AB Diner is to rectify the roof and some additional works on the outside, give it some level of protection against the elements. Stage 2 of that project, which is to apply for funding to restore the interior of the car and bring the dining room and the kitchen and the galley back to its former glory. RFA 177 really had a very broad and really interesting history. It started life as a sitting car back in the early 1900s. In the 70s, the New South Wales Railway still had circus trains, and so the Worth Brothers Circus had a circus train that had an accommodation car, a dormitory car, that was unfortunately destroyed by fire. What is now RFA 177 was converted into a sleeping car to sleep up to 36 people. Eventually, in preservation, it came into the custodianship of the Lachlan Valley Railway. Half of the car was converted into a bar, and the other half was left with some of that dormitory style accommodation left intact. The intention of this restoration is not to take it back to original, but to bring it up in its current format. But we're going to tell a bit of the story of the history of this carriage and leave one of the triple bunk rooms intact as an attempt to tell the story of the carriage and of Worth's Circus.